We are already chopping through the year, and I'm back with it and everything I watched for February. I didn't watch as many as I normally do, but I still got a good batch for you. I'll have my top five as usual. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Follow me on Letterboxd, it's linked below. Tell me what you watched for the month in the comments, and let's get into everything I watched in February. Anomalisa, 2015, directed by Charlie Kaufman and Duke Johnson. I'm a big Charlie Kaufman fan. I love Charlie Kaufman. And this movie, although I liked it, I thought it was a little weird at parts, but it was an interesting take on a guy who's kind of, I guess, just bored with his life, and he ends up having a little fun. I don't know. I'll put it like this: it's a weird stop motion claymation movie. I don't know, man. It's an interesting time, but it's a great hotel movie. I liked it though. A good time. I'm gonna give Anomalisa a 7.4 out of 10. The Secret Agent 2025, directed by Klebler Mendanka Filho. Okay, the big international movie this year that's up for a bunch of awards. Wagner Moore won a bunch of awards. This movie has made its rounds, and I finally got to see it because it took me forever, and it was okay. I didn't love it. I did not love it. I'm gotta be honest. I thought it was overrated. It was a decent movie. It wasn't bad. I just didn't get the hype. I thought Wagner Moore was fine. I thought he was fine. He didn't blow me away, but I thought he was fine. It's a slow burn. It's a long film. Uh, but I'll say this: it wasn't boring. It was a good watch. But for the way it was hyped up and all the awards attention it's gotten, I did think it was going to be a little bit better. But I'll give The Secret Agent a 7.5 out of 10. Repo, the Genetic Opera, 2008, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. All right, this pick was not mine, and I gotta say, I thought this movie was very bad. It's a musical about a city that's ran by a company that like leases out body parts and surgeries, and if you don't pay up, you will get your body parts repoed. Weird. I wouldn't suggest this to you, but this definitely has its audience. I'm going to give Repo the Genetic Opera a 4 out of 10. SpongeBob Search for SquarePants 2025, directed by Derek Dryman. All right, man, I'm a throwback OG SpongeBob fan, and all the movies, as dumb as they keep getting, I still enjoy them. I laughed a lot at this. A lot of booty shots. But I mean, if you're a SpongeBob fan, you're gonna laugh at some of this. I did. It's definitely a fun watch. Something you can watch with your kids or whatever. I'm gonna give SpongeBob Search for SquarePants a 7.5 out of 10. Pleasure 2021, directed by Ninja Thyberg. This was kind of close to making the top five. Pleasure is a movie about a young woman from, I think she's from Sweden. Yeah, she's from Sweden, moves to America to become a adult star. And you know what I mean by adult. And, it just really shows you the ins and outs of that industry. And I'll say, man, it's a gnarly industry. And yeah, I just couldn't imagine, really, man. But I really enjoyed this film. Very visceral. I will give Pleasure an 8.5 out of 10. The English Patient, 1996, directed by Anthony Minghella. I love Juliette Binoche. I love Ray Fiennes. This cast was actually great. A lot of good Willem Dafoe, a lot of great actors in here. Decent film, Oscar type of movie. It was fine, whatever. It's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's one of them '90s movies that I feel like you gotta see, but I mean, it ain't Shawshank or nothing like that. I'm gonna give The English Patient A 7.2 out of 10. All right, our first top 5 of the month. The Plague, 2025, directed by Charlie Pollinger. I believe this is a directorial debut. The Plague is about a group of young boys. I believe they're 12 years old. I think it's 2003. And they are at a water polo camp. And there's a lot of bullying going on. And I'm going to leave it at that. This movie was great, and I know I kind of been talking about some of these other films like really blasé, but this movie is actually worth really chatting about. Beautiful cinematography. I'm sure this is a story a lot of people can relate to in one way or another, whether you were the bully or the bullied. This was a great film. I think everybody should watch this. I'm going to give The Plague a 9 out of 10. The Greatest Beer Run Ever, 2022, directed by Peter Farley. I actually really enjoyed this film, and I'm not really sure why it didn't get any acclaim when it came out. I know it's a little bit silly, and I know it seems far-fetched, but this was a true story, and I think this was, a very fun time. And I think it's a fun look on Vietnam to see this guy go overseas to give his homeboys beer who are fighting for the country. And I think it tackles a lot of good issues about the morals and ethics of war. And Zac Efron gives an amazing performance, and he's one of the most underrated actors of our time. So I'm going to give The Greatest Beer Run Ever an 8 out of 10. Dry Long Zo, 1998, directed by Colleen Smith. Dry Long Zo, watch this for Black History Month. You gotta get some of that in. And I actually enjoyed this film. This film is about a young girl in the Bay Area who is taking pictures of black men because she feels they are going extinct due to crime and police brutality, things like that. And it's an interesting film. I believe it was definitely shot before '98. I'll tell you that. I'm guessing it just couldn't get distribution or something, but I actually thought this was a pretty fun watch. I'm going to give Dry Long Zo a 7.8 out of 10. Lost in America, 1985, directed by Albert Brooks. Albert Brooks, pretty much everything I've seen him do, I've enjoyed. I actually quite enjoyed this film about a couple, a middle-aged couple who are kind of stagnant in their relationship and life, end up getting rid of everything, hitting the road, and just kind of seeing what happens. And man, this is a very fun, interesting, funny relationship movie. I had a good time with this movie. There's a great scene in Vegas, and you guys know I love Vegas movies. So I'm going to give Lost in America an 8.2 out of 10. Lucky Number 11, 2006, directed by Paul McGuigan. Or Guigan, sorry. I think it's Paul McGuigan. Lucky Number 11. I've seen this movie before, but it's been about at least 15 or so years, and I've only seen it once. And I remember, actually, it's longer than that. I remember enjoying it, so I wanted to check it out again. And it holds up. I can't say I loved it as much as I did the first time I watched it, but I do still think it holds up. It was starting to kick back though, the memory as it was going on. But this is a fun little action movie. Josh Hartnett, Bruce Willis. Oh, I hate to see what's going on with him. Morgan Freeman, great cast. So I would check this out. I'm going to give Lucky Number 11 a 7.5 out of 10. Our next top 5 of the month, Rocco and His Brothers, 1960, directed by Luchino Visconti. Italian film starring a French actor, my man Alain Delon, rest in peace. This movie was absolutely fantastic. This is cinema. This is the reason I watch movies. This movie is about a group of Italian boys and their mother who are going through a whole bunch of things, and each of them have their own things going on. But there is some serious conflict with two of the brothers involving a serious love triangle, and it's absolutely amazing. This is the type of movie that makes me appreciate and love cinema. So I am going to give Rocco and His Brothers a perfect 10 out of 10. Other People, 2016, directed by Chris Kelly. This was a fun little subtle LGBT movie starring my man, biggest Oscar snub of the year, Jesse Plemons, and one of my favorite comedic actresses, Molly Shannon. And this movie is about a young gay man who ends up moving back in with his father to help take care of his mother who is dying of cancer. And a lot of things are coming out while he's back at home. He has a lot going on. He's an aspiring writer, and he learns a lot about himself, his family, and it's just one of those movies that it's as sad as it is. It is a feel good movie, and I really enjoyed the performances. So I'm going to give Other People 7.8 out of 10. The Housemaid, 2025, directed by Paul Feig. All right, Paul Feig has made some movies I've liked, and he's made some movies I thought were just okay. But overall, he's a pretty good director. And you know what? I actually had a very, very good time with this movie. And it's one of those movies like, is it going to be a classic or anything? No. But it's one of those movies that you definitely have a good time with while you're watching it. And the beauty of this movie is as predictable as you think it is. It has a very nice mid-movie twist. Probably goes on too long, and the movie's flawed in tons of ways. But I really enjoyed Amanda Seyfried. She gave a great performance, a really great performance actually. And I actually enjoyed Sydney Sweeney in this. And as much as I'm not a huge fan of her, I gotta say, she has impressed me in some roles I've seen her in recently. So I don't think we can count Sweeney out because this movie made $375 million. So she is not out of the game. So I would highly suggest this for a good, kind of romance thriller, kind of leaning into horror a little bit. But I'm going to give The Housemaid an 8.2 out of 10. Romancing the Stone, 1984, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Romancing the Stone, Michael Douglas and Kathleen Turner. Great duo, fun 80s action adventure movie about a bunch of people looking for this stone, this beautiful green stone. And it's one of those movies that you just kick back and have a good time with. Danny DeVito's in it, giving a funny performance. I had a good time with it. I'm going to give Romancing the Stone a 7.3 out of 10. Flashdance, 1983, directed by Adrian Lin. Fun 80s dance movies. I love 80s dance movies. I actually just like dance movies, I don't know why. But I'm not going to sit here and act like Flashdance is amazing. But it has its scenes. It's iconic for a reason. And it's one of those movies that, you just got to watch every now and then. And I've seen it before, but it's been a long time. And I wanted to revisit it. And I had a good time with it. I like the dance scenes. I like the music. Whatever. I'm going to give Flashdance a 6.9 out of 10. Our next top 5 of the month, Influencer 2022, directed by Curtis David Harder. All right, I actually was requested to watch this movie by a subscriber, my man Marlon Bellamy, and thank you for requesting this, because I actually didn't even know about this movie, and I actually had a great time with this movie. It's about a young influencer who ends up getting taken hostage by a young woman with a large birthmark on her face. And I'm kind of going to leave it at that because it's streaming on Netflix now. And if you've never seen this movie, I would highly suggest it for horror thriller fans. This one had me on edge, and It has great performances. It's slick, it's stylish, and it's kind of one of these movies that are showing you this is where horror is now. And I think horror's in a very, very good place right now. And we're going to talk about the sequel to this movie later. But I'm going to give Influencer a 9.2 out of 10. And I did review this film, and I'll link it below. The Young Girls of Rochefort, 1967, directed by Jacques Demy. A fun little French musical. Jacques Demy, a great director, one of the best out of the French New Wave era. And I like a lot of his movies, and I like this movie. It's not one of his best or one of my favorites from him, but I still had a great time. We get a great performance from Catherine Deneuve and her sister in real life and in the movie. Rest in peace, who died very shortly after this movie came out. Very beautiful young woman. So sad. This movie is about two sisters who are on a quest to find love in Rochefort. And it's just a fun time. It's colorful. It's musical. Gene Kelly's in it. It's worth watching. I'm going to give The Young Girls of Rochefort an 8.3 out of 10. Influencers 2025, directed by Curtis David Harder. All right, so after watching Influencer and I found out there was a sequel, I had to see this, and I'm glad I got a hold of it because this movie was nuts. Now, I have a lot of feelings about this, which ultimately lead me down the path that I do like this series quite a bit. But this movie pissed me off immensely, and there's a lot of things for me that just did not work, and it made me very upset. But it had that effect on me because I was very, very invested in the story and these characters. And if you've seen both of these movies, please comment below and tell me what you think about the series. But Influencers is insane, and you have to watch it. So I'm going to give Influencers, I don't even know what to score this. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10, even though it didn't make my top 5 because that's reserved for 2 others. But this movie was good. David, 2025, directed by Phil Cunningham and Brent Dawes. All right, yes, this is David, the animated movie about David and Goliath. And yes, I did watch it. Yes, I thought it would be good. Yes, I was wrong. And no, I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to give David a 5 out of 10. Almost Rainbow, 1994, directed by Aoka Shinzira. This was another one I decided to watch for Black History Month, and I also enjoyed this one. And unfortunately, I didn't get to watch as many Black History movies as I normally do, or I would have wanted to, but I did get some weird ones I'd never seen or actually even heard of, and so this was cool. This one's about a young girl, coming of age story, but a young girl who's kind of going through life. She goes to Catholic school, and her mom runs a hair salon, and her aunt comes back around and is a very, very heavy influence on her, and it's causing friction between her and her mom and her mom and her aunt. And it's just a fun story about this girl growing up, in New York and having a good time. And I had a good time with this movie. It's shot on 35 millimeters. The colors look really good. I was impressed with a lot from the filmmaker. I'm going to give Almost Rainbow a 7.8 out of 10. All right, our next top 5 of the month. Patterson, 2016, directed by Jim Jarmusch. I am really becoming a Jim Jarmusch fan. Now, I've seen a lot of his movies over the years, but there's a few of his that just slap so hard for me, and this was one of them, starring the great Adam Driver. This movie is about a week in the life of a bus driver in Paterson, New Jersey, which I have visited Paterson, New Jersey before. So it was pretty cool seeing this. And I gotta say, this is a movie that I really can't say is gonna be for everyone, but god damn it, it was for me. It reminded me of 2023's Wim Wenders' Perfect Days, a movie about a Japanese man who cleans bathrooms. This movie is a slow burn. It takes its time building up and telling you what it's trying to tell you. And it plants all these seeds in your mind. And whether the seeds go somewhere or not, by the end of this movie, you will feel moved. But I gotta say, this is a movie lover's movie. So I can't say this for everyone if you aren't into more art directive films. I don't know if it's for you, but it was for me. And I'm going to give Paterson a perfect 10 out of 10. Last but not least, our last top 5 of the month and our last movie, Closely Watched Trains, 1966, directed by Jiri Menzel. So I kind of watched two of the best at the end of the month, and man, Closely Watched Trains is a Czechoslovakian New Wave film during the war, World War II. And this movie is about a young man. It's really a coming of age story about a young man who works at a train station who wants to lose his virginity. But war is going on around him. But this movie is absolutely hilarious. It is hilarious. It is slick and sleek. It's got beautiful cinematography. And what it says about war is just absolutely brilliant. And the way this movie ends, it is a gut punch. I absolutely adored this film and I had a great time with it. And I would highly suggest it for movie lovers. I'm going to give Closely Watched Trains a 9.5 out of 10. Guys, thank you so much. If you made it to the end, make sure you let me know what you watched in the comments below. Let me know if there's a film or topic you'd like me to review. Like the video, follow me on Letterboxd, Ralph Vader. I'll link that below. I got a podcast with my buddy, The Cutting Room Floor. I'll link that below for more movie content. I'll be back next week. And don't forget the popcorn.